What is going on, guys? Tonight, we're going to talk about how U.S. troops have actually entered UKR. They are on the ground. We'll talk about that and, of course, the supposed story of again, ADSBs showing that military planes and Coast Guard and everything else going dark. This is, again, after days of telling you guys that we were told to watch the radar. So if that is true, we'll go over that all in today's show. To get right into the news, bombshell leaked spy docs suggest that Vlad does have Parkinson's and cancer and is stuffed full of steroids. It says a bombshell leaked spy document appears to confirm that Vlad does have early-stage Parkinson's disease and pancreatic cancer. The 70-year-old tyrant's health has long been the source of speculation, with Western intelligence suggesting he has serious health issues. So this is something that we, of course, have talked about, how he does certain things. They show him grabbing a table. When he's sitting, he is holding on to things. This has, of course, been speculation. There's been people that are supposedly close to him that say that he is sick. Why this matters is a lot of people think that if he is truly on his deathbed, or that he is has something that is going to take his life very soon, that he may be more willing to push a button and leave a legacy for himself. Or again, if you're going to pass in in a year or two, or if you've been given months to live or something, you might be more likely to push that big red button and launch missiles across the planet. At least that's what people think, and people have been talking about this for months. It also kind of sets it up for, if anything was to happen to him, I guess they could say it was all natural. What do you think? I would love to hear your opinions on this. You can give us a call tonight at 2244-00-MARF, and tonight is a call-in show. So if you would like to call in, the number is going to be scrolling down below. We'll talk about all of this and, of course, now U.S. troops sitting in UKR chilling. We'll talk about that and much, much more. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. What's down? Everyone's an expert now. Everybody wears the crown. All right, what is going on is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time, so I do want to remind you, you can go over to marfooglenews.com and get a full bibliography of all of our sources. That way, if you are a creator or if you're trying to use this for an essay or whatever it may be, you have the information there and you know exactly where we have collected it from. Now, as far as that goes, go over to marfooglenews.com and you can find that it's all easily navigatable by thumbnail. Just look for today's thumbnail. They all vanished. Did the Air Force just do major movements? Military going dark. And again, we actually changed the title because now there are U.S. forces entering the hot zone. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. So, and by the hot zone, I mean, U.S. forces, U.S. military members inside of UKR. So you can go to the website, you can find all of that, plus much, much more. Once you hit a yellow bar, that is all of the overflow. All of the stuff that we could not fit into a 2-hour time frame is all right there. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button if you do value the time that you see us put in. I really appreciate that. Thank you for doing so. Also, if we are not live for any reason, we don't have a backup team, we don't have a full staff, It is myself, Dex, and a bunch of volunteer mods. If we are not live, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/friends. Trinity has been going live a lot lately, Survival Game, Bones, and all sorts of other great creators that are also our mods. And then, of course, all of our friends, creators like Donut Factory, closing in on 100,000 subscribers, Global Witness, around the same. And then, of course, you have tons of great people over there. So check it out. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we'll get back into just to get right back into the headline, the head story there. One of the actually, in fact, we have crazy things way bigger than this. But as far as his health goes, they have seen pictures of marks on his hands suggesting that he was getting IV treatments and things like this. Just remember where this is coming from. It's mostly coming from Western intelligence. A couple of the things have been kind of, friends or buddies of his that are saying this. But why is it coming out from our intelligence agencies? You have to think about every last thing that they tell you is probably for a purpose. We just had, of course, documents and come out that the CIA said that Xi was going to take Taiwan in 2027 and that he was telling his people that. It's like, why does this information even come out? The CIA is very particular about what it releases, and they don't have to release anything. So when they do release information, or if you have, MI6 or any of these other agencies, again, from other countries' special agencies, if they release information, usually there's a purpose behind it, or there's possibly an operation behind it. So just remember that. Is he unhealthy? He is 70 years old. It very well could be possible. If there was any kind of treatment that would be able to cure it, I bet you, being one of the richest men in the world, and Elon Musk says that he is richer than Elon, he probably would have that. If a cure did exist somewhere in a backyard lab or something, he would have access to it. So maybe he does have that stuff, but maybe he's got some sort of miracle cure. Who knows? And then scientists increasingly can't explain how AI works. It says that AI researchers are warning developers to focus more on how and why a system produces a certain result than a fact that the system can accurately and rapidly produce them. It says, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? You might say vanilla or chocolate, and if I asked why, you'd probably say because it tastes good. But why does it taste good? And why do you still want to try other flavors sometimes? Rarely do we ever question the basic decisions we make in everyday lives, but if we did, we might realize that we can't pinpoint the exact reasons for our preferences, emotions, and desires at any given moment. It says there's a similar problem in artificial intelligence. The people who develop AI are increasingly having problems explaining how it works and, of course, determining why it has the output it has. Deep neural networks, or DNNs, made up of layers and layers of processing systems trained on human-created data to mimic the neural networks of our brains. It says often seen to mirror not just human intelligence, but also human inexplicability. It says most AI systems are black box models, which are systems that are viewed only in terms of their inputs and outputs. Scientists do not attempt to decipher the black box or the opaque processes that the system undertakes as long as they receive the outputs they are looking for. For example, if I gave a black box AI model data about every single ice cream flavor and demographic data about the economic, social, and lifestyle factors for millions of people, it could probably guess what your favorite ice cream flavor is or where your favorite ice cream store is, even if it wasn't programmed with that intention. These types of AI systems notoriously have issues because the data they are trained on are often inherently biased, mimicking the racial or gender biases that exist within our society. The haphazard deployment of them leads to situations where, to use just one example, Black people are disproportionately misidentified by facial recognition technology. It becomes difficult to fix these systems in part because their developers cannot often fully explain how they work, which makes accountability difficult. As AI systems become more complex and humans become less able to understand them, AI experts and researchers are warning developers to take a step back and focus more on how and why a system produces certain results than the fact that the system can accurately and rapidly produce them. They're basically saying if you can't explain it, you shouldn't be messing with it. If you can't explain why they are doing this, but you can say, hey, in 2 seconds it can come up with what you were thinking, well, that's really great and that's really creepy and all. But if you can't explain how it's doing it, then you're playing with something that you don't know how to control. People, 10, 15 years ago looked at this as sci-fi. Now we are actually looking at AI being integrated into everything we know. Now our entire grid, our infrastructure, everything that we depend on is now connected to the Internet of Things. They've even named part of this network Skynet. If that is not creepy enough for you, obviously they are now making humanoid robots and having robot dogs basically walk down the streets of New York with the police. So this is something that they need to get hammered down. This is something that I cannot believe there is little to no oversight on as far as all of the companies that are working on this. And one of them could make a huge mistake and make something that is an absolute horrible thing for this entire planet. What do you think? Let me know. Give me a call at 2244-00-MARF. That's again 2244-006273. Thank you for everybody that popped in. We're going to talk about how U.S. forces have entered UKR and are currently on the ground there. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about much more, including the ADSB systems showing that military may have gone dark. After the last couple days of telling you to watch the radar, that's kind of creepy. So we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Thank you, Chance Paladin and Vicky K. Says, again, thank you for popping in. U.S. pushes Japan and other allies to join China chip curbs. So it says that the U.S. is urging allies, including Japan, to follow its lead on restricting exports of advanced semiconductors and related technology to China, potentially intensifying the impact of anti-American tensions on chip makers worldwide. It says Tokyo has begun internal discussions on the issue at Washington's request. A Japanese government insider said officials are weighing which restrictions can be adopted by Japan and will watch how other U.S. allies such as the European Union and South Korea respond. So essentially, we are making the push and being the front leader of saying that we're going to start restricting what Xi can do, where their chips can go, what can actually happen there, who can work there, all sorts of different things. So these are fighting words, basically. Not to mention there's a lot going on with Xi and what is happening there. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. So very, very, very freaky stuff. And we'll update you on the whole Japan situation and let you know what they end up thinking on that. By the way, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cap for Life. I appreciate your support. Let's see here. Luis Martinez and then Cap for Life. I missed you last show and I appreciate your support. Thank you for popping in, and I did miss you. Missy Ledger says, Godspeed, Fugel fam. God loves you. And so do I. Hey, thank you, Missy Ledger, and thank you from Canada. And then Cap for Life, Luis Martinez, Rian Van Niekirk. Thank you for your support. Cheyenne C., Kenny Crowder, Carol White, Marky Sparky, Don Bali, Stephen McMahon, Maria Madrigal, and, of course, The Future Guy. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your support on the channel. It says that iPhone factory worker walked 25 miles to escape the CV lockdown in China. It says that an iPhone factory worker walked 25 miles to avoid all of the craziness going on. It says it was Sunday when Dong Wan decided to give up her job at the world's largest iPhone factory and walk home. The 20-year-old has been working for the past 3 months on the production lines at Foxconn Technology Group's factory in Shenzhou, one of tens of thousands helping put together Apple Inc., iPhones that would be sent around the globe. It was a coveted job among the country's best paid blue-collar gigs. Hold on, sorry about that. And Dex, it did not load the full story here. So I'll try to load the one that, I'll load the original, but it's probably going to give me a bunch of ads. So I don't know if we have a different version of this one. Let's see here. Dex, if I know that you're going to be over on the phone, but I'll go back to this. We'll cover the rest of this in just a second. And then China fishing fleet defied U.S. in standoff on the high seas this summer as China was... By the way, if people wonder why that happens, we actually... So if you ever go to any kind of article, they always have like 50 different ads on them, things that pop up, videos that start auto-playing. After about the fifth autoplay of copyrighted music played, we actually came up with our own system to turn the news into something that is more simple and basic. So again, people have asked, like, how do we have the articles all look the same? Again, it was a challenge that we ended up figuring out. It says this summer, as China was protesting House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, but it doesn't always work. That's what I should say. A much different geopolitical standoff was taking shape in another corner of the Pacific this summer as China fired missiles into the sea off of Taiwan to protest House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island. A much different kind of geopolitical standoff was taking shape in another corner of the Pacific Ocean. Thousands of miles away, a heavily armed U.S. Coast Guard cutter sailed up to a fleet of a few hundred Chinese squid fishing boats, not far from Ecuador's Galapagos Islands. Its mission was to inspect the vessels for any signs of illegal, unreported, or unregulated fishing. It says boarding ships on the high seas, of course, on the high seas is a perfectly legal, if little used tool available to any sea power as part of the collective effort to protect the ocean's threatened fish stocks. But in this case, the Chinese captains of several fishing boats did something unexpected. These vessels sped away, one turning aggressively 90 degrees towards the Coast Guard cutter James, forcing the American vessel to take evasive action to avoid being rammed. For the most part, they wanted to avoid us, said Coast Guard Lieutenant Hunter Stows, the highest-ranking law enforcement. It says... on the James. It says, but we were able to maneuver effectively so that we were safe the entire time. Still, the high seas confrontation represented a potentially dangerous breach of international maritime protocol, one that the U.S. sees as a troubling precedent since it happened on the Coast Guard's first ever mission to counter illegal fishing in the Eastern Pacific. The AP, the Associated Press, reconstructed details of the never-before-reported incident from the Coast Guard and 6 U.S. non-military officials who spoke of the operation in greater detail but requested anonymity to avoid jeopardizing a multilateral process seeking to force China to sanction the vessels. While diplomats in China accused the Americans of acting improperly, they didn't provide their own detailed account. It says the Coast Guard's unprecedented voyage was prompted by growing alarm from activists and governments in Latin America over the activities of China's distant water fishing fleet, the world's largest. Since 2009, the number of Chinese-flagged vessels spotted fishing in the South Pacific, sometimes for months at a time, has surged eightfold to 476 last year. Meanwhile, the size of its squid catch has grown from 70,000 tons to 422,000 tons, a level of fishing that some scientists fear is unsustainable even for resilient species. As revealed in an AP Univision investigation last year, the Chinese flotilla includes some of the seafood industry's worst offenders, with long records of labor abuse, illegal fishing, and violations of maritime law. But they're being drawn to the open ocean around the Americas, where the U.S. has long dominated. It says after depleting fish stocks closer to home and fueled by an increasingly fierce race between the two superpowers to secure access to the world's dwindling natural resources, the illegal fishing patrol, which took place over 10 days in August, was initially kept quiet. The Coast Guard, more than a month later, released a brief statement celebrating the mission along with photos from the 2 ships it did manage to successfully board. But it made no mention of the 3 that ran away or gave any clue to the vessel's nationality, a posture that Coast Guard maintained in its conversations with the AP. So, by the way, we know that they have a mystery kind of ghost military there. They have these fishing vessels that are made to look like fishing vessels, but they are actually military militia. But they also are doing these crazy missions over fishing and things like this. So you probably didn't catch it because I don't believe we covered it in our main show. We probably put it in the web only. But mysteriously, it was like all of the certain type of crab ended up disappearing. And for the first time ever, they actually canceled the entire fishing business, essentially canceled a certain type of crab fishing. I believe it was last year. And that was because all of these crab just disappeared. They didn't know if they walked off a deep, cliff or something. They just didn't understand it. In fact, the fishermen and the crab fishermen were asking for kind of the same kind of coverage that farmers get if their crops get lost. But basically, all of these different companies couldn't fish anything. Some were wondering if this had something to do with it, that if Xi was secretly fishing in different places and overfishing and had this huge, this huge fleet of fishing vessels. What I see, though, is that these could possibly be militia that are also fishing and doing all of this overfishing. It could be many things. It could be that they are stocking up on food, and they're, to go from 70,000 tons to 422,000 tons, that's a whole lot to kick up your fishing levels. That was, again, in just a year. So what the heck is going on? It surged 8-fold. So 8 times as much fishing from China. What is going on with that? And again, we'll follow it. Now, we'll get over to our phone caller here in just a second. Thank you, everybody that has just popped in. We're going to talk about U.S. forces in UKR. We're, of course, going to talk about the second U.S. ballistic missile submarine makes an unusual appearance. Basically, U.S. popped up and said, hey, we're here. And then UKR grappling with power outages and food prices and everything else. So we'll be talking about that here in just a second. Dex, it looks like the phone lines are off the hook. So you're pretty busy. Alan, a.k.a. Overcoming Bipolar, is going to be on the phone. Well, you get Alan on the line. I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, make sure to go over and check out the Flex 1500. This is the solar generator that I use, and I actually power my show with this. The Flex 1500 is really awesome because it is expandable. It's one of the best made. It is also one of the most coveted solar generators out there. There's actually a waiting list to get your hands on this. Lithium is in high demand and in low supply. And then, of course, this one is awesome because it is one of the best out there, and it will last decades if you take care of it. This can actually be expanded. It's absolutely silent. You do not need gas. It's plug and play, so it's one of the easiest systems to use. Again, you can actually expand it up to 96 batteries. There's no running parts that you need to fix, very low maintenance, and then, of course, it is not hearable from 3 blocks away. So if you want to go stealth mode, this would be a good option. As far as solar, you have free energy as long as you have sun. You don't have to store gas somewhere, especially if you're in an apartment. That's pretty much an impossible thing to do. And then, of course, this will last a whole long time. So go over to marfuglenews.com/energy. Why this is awesome is you can get upwards of $170 off on certain packages when you use this code, and you're helping our independent news channel at the same time. If you go to marfuglenews.com/energy, you'll find all of the different packages, and then also make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Not only will you get that savings, you'll be helping us grow and, again, helping us financially. So thank you. At no cost to you, or no additional cost. Again, the Kodiak is releasing, the Kodiak X2. Make sure to go check that out, and then also check out their Kodiak LT, which is a smaller, all built-in one, more for storms and for just getting your stuff charged and maybe plugging in a lamp. That again is also out. So make sure to go check out all of their options. All right, Dex, let's get Alan on the phone, a.k.a. Overcoming Bipolar. Alan, are you there?
Hello, Marfoogle. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk today about, I did also a little update on the transponders being turned off all the military aircraft in the U.S., and I was thinking it could be a correlation to SA country accusing Iran to the store country of a major military attack, and the FBI just confirmed that today.
Are you saying they did confirm that might have been some sort of cyber attack, or they confirmed that they threatened that?
Yeah, maybe an attack on the oil facilities, or a major attack coordinated against that country and our interests too. So maybe our country is having our military on high alert. And like you also reported about Australia the other day, the B bombers going there. And there's also multiple threats, possibly from the country with the word C that's close to the island. And like you said, Vlad also is having some issues. So I heard that our troops are on the ground in the country that's at war over there too.
So, okay, do you remember how the other day I was talking about, we were talking to a Fugel fam member who I verified is, really high up, and they were saying you need to watch the radars. Do you remember me saying that on the show over the last week?
Yes.
So with that,
and now it seems that our country is getting ready for something, and now with the elections in the Israel country, there's a high threat because they don't like the new president that's going to be confirmed. He's going to have 62 Knesset seats, and now the enemies of that country are going to possibly stir up some trouble.
Well, so yeah, we're in this like week long for the next few days. Obviously, everything is coming up really fast. What I wanted to say about that though is that makes me think, and there's some different theories on why the ADSB went off, and we'll go over that. Dex also has a theory that it could have been a glitch. It could have been something that, something went up. I just think it's too much of a coincidence that I was told, and I believed them, so I passed it on. I said, hey, take this with a grain of salt, but watch the radars. Watch that there were secret deployments. And again, if you did want to hide a bunch of movement, so like we said, remember when I was explaining, I was explaining that the 101st Battalion or the Airborne Division is over in Poland, but someone pointed out cleverly, and they emailed us and said, hey, this isn't the whole 101st Airborne Division. It's a few guys, but the full division is 60,000 guys. So we pointed out, hey, just to make you feel a little bit better, this isn't the whole, 101st. It's just some guys. And I said for them to move the whole thing, or for this guy said, if you were going to move the whole battalion, then it would be very visible on radar, but not if the radar goes off. And that's one thing that I kind of think about. And now knowing that there's these U.S. forces in UKR, it makes me think that something big just possibly went down and they hit it. But we do have some other information on that, and we'll go over that as well. Dex, you wanted to chime in?
Just wanted you to know there was an article link that he gave me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So what am I pulling up here? So do you want to explain this, Alan?
Yeah, that was the FBI threat that our country was made aware of by the SA country that is being threatened by the Iran to the store, that they might be targeting oil facilities and certain cyber attacks for that country and our interests in the Middle East. And now we also have to think about UK. They were accused of causing that Nord Stream incident, and there is an aircraft carrier group on the way to that country too.
Yep. So, and of course you have all of the other deployments and all of the other exercises that are still going on right now. This is back and forth. At this point, do you think it's kind of crazy that people are still in denial that this is going on? I personally think that that WW3 has already started. It's just that it hasn't been officially declared that some of the countries are going to get involved. What do you think?
Yes, I believe that that WW3 started in 2020, and that country with the word C started it. And I do believe that there was a lot of issues that are starting to manifest now in the war field area, because all these countries are mad at what happened, and a lot of people perished and everything. And I think that the truth be known that maybe the World War III started in 2020, and a lot of people weren't aware of it. We're all stationary in lockdown, and we kind of got hit blindsided by it. But now all the countries are protecting their assets and getting ready, because I'm a Christian. I believe that like Bible prophecy is going to start happening with these countries, and I think that the Lord says when you see these things begin to happen, lift up your head, look up for redemption, draw signs. So I do believe that we could see some of these prophetic wars and things, and it's all been part of his story, like I say, or history. And I think it's all just a matter of time, and that we should prepare. We should prepare, even as Christians. We should get emergency things, EMP shield and water and extra things on hand, like, because we could have a supply chain disruption.
Well, we already have, and it's not as horrible as it can be, and it's not to scare people and say that it's all going to go down the hole, but I mean it's kind of already there, and people don't want to they want to be in fantasy land, and they want to avoid talking about it, and it's our human nature to kind of put things off like this. It's just like how humans naturally avoid the thinking about death. It's hardwired into us that we don't want to think about the fact that we die. And I think that's why people are afraid of World War III, is they feel like they're immediately going to perish or something. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. I think it's going to be the end of the culture that we live in. Even the whole planet is in a very similar place right now. We're all hooked on phones and the internet. We're all super dependent on everything around us. We might get a reality check and get sent back to the 1800s.
Yes, and I do believe the Lord will keep us through it all. And the Lord says that we can't add one stature to our height by worrying. So, but we also have to be aware and not ignorant of what's going on. And these kind of shows are telling everyone what's going on in this. And unfortunately, the mainstream media is not even covering this stuff. They're talking about the Pelosi, the incident. It's just ridiculous, but it's unfortunate. But the more people we awaken to these ideas, the more people will become aware and self-sufficient and realize that sometimes we should learn how to do some planting in our backyard, or have a couple chickens, have something to get our lives ready, because we're so dependent, like you're saying, on technology.
Well, I totally agree with you. Well, Alan, thank you for your call today, and I appreciate you calling in again. Don't be a stranger, all right?
Oh, God bless you guys. You guys are doing a great job.
All right, well, thank you, and God bless you as well. That was Alan, a.k.a. Overcoming Bipolar. We'll connect his channel. He did a video on the recent ADSB stuff happening. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And then, just so you know, what is being claimed is that military ADSB, the transponders, were either turned off or grounded. That there was no Coast Guard, there was no military, there was nobody up in the sky for a certain period of time. And it's either that they weren't in the sky, or their transponders were turned off, or if it was a glitch, or if it was a website thing, or if it was a hack. There's many things it could be. But do you realize how really, really crazy that is after, the last week you guys have heard me say it. I got what I thought was pretty solid info saying watch the radar specifically. I even made sure to have a sign off with it. I said, I'm going to be watching the radar to make sure that I can see it, because I don't know. I'm not an expert on this stuff, but when I do hear things that I do believe, and we hear from multiple sources, I explained that I don't try to just repeat something that somebody says, especially if it's one person. If multiple people mention something and it's not from a YouTube video that's going viral, if it's real information that I can go and verify, then it starts getting it starts, that's something that I do try to pass along, and that's what I've always done. So for us to even over the last 3 days say, talk about this radar thing, and then this glitch or whatever the heck happened, it could be an exercise, it could be a training, it could be anything, but it also could be where during that time period they moved a whole lot of military, and we wouldn't know it, because since 2019, I believe that they were able to do this, and I could be wrong, but I found an article earlier that said that that since 2019, certain military were able to do that. If you know the answer on that, let me know, or give me a call at 224-400-MARF. I'll try to find that article before the end of the show and try to add it. But either way, it makes sense why military are able to turn off their beacons and things, because if you're doing a classified... Well, I know, and by the way, we know it happens. When you see a Chinook over you and go to flight radar and it's not there, it's kind of like, okay, they're either doing an exercise or they're moving somebody they don't want public. And then Air Force's prized Bacon networking jets now operating over the Mediterranean. It says beginning on October 22nd, And as recently as today, October 31st, this is, of course, last night, U.S. Air Force support aircraft, including signals, intelligence aircraft, aerial refueling tankers, and airborne communications relays have flown in the eastern Mediterranean off of Lebanon near the Syrian coast, and this is the first time we know of that the E-11A Battlefield Airborne Communications Node aircraft, or BACN, B-A-C-N, has flown its characteristic orbits outside of the previous operational working areas in the Middle East, primarily Iraq, Afghanistan, and Saudi Arabia. Normally seen over Iraq and originally based out of Afghanistan, the E-11A serves as a gateway between disparate communications networks, notably between different aircraft and other platforms, creating an active network over the battlefield. BACN is also often used to provide a link between forces on the ground and forces in the air, overcoming line-of-sight obstacles like high terrain. Obviously, you can see why that would be useful in the conflicts in the Middle East with all of their crazy mountainous terrains. It says it can also relay much of what it receives to other locales around the theater and to the globe. We covered BACN in depth with those that manage it and use in this past Warzone feature. It says, due to the aircraft being based so close to the areas of operation, it is very rare to see them in the Mediterranean or Europe for anything other than a long transit back to the U.S. The most recent instance of an E-11A leaving the Persian Gulf was in mid-September when the E-11A 119355 flew from its base in the United Emirates to the U.S. for service. According to the open source flight trackers, there were E-11A flights out of the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia on October 22nd, 23rd, and the 27th that flew orbital patterns near both the western and eastern borders of Syria. But the aircraft in question were not in the air at the same times. It says that it's possible that these BACN aircraft are supporting a nearby exercise of F-22 Raptors that are forward deployed to Naval Support Activity, or NSA Soda Bay, a key U.S. Navy installation on the Greek island of Crete. A press release published by the Hellenic National Defense General Staff stated that the 4 F-22s from the 90th Expeditionary Fighter Squadron and 2 KC-135 Stratotankers arrived at Soda Bay on October 20th as part of a, quote, Agile Combat Employment, or ACE exercise, which we actually talked about on the 19th. Included in the press release is a photograph of the KC-135R with registration number K2623502, which has been tracked in the same area as the E-11A since the beginning of the exercise. So they're saying basically it's been around that area, so they're thinking that they can make a connection there and say that that's what it's for. Big questions are being asked why these things are being moved around, why these mobile communications kind of I guess they would be a bridge to communications, either to the world or to another area or to other forces, are even over in that area. It says there have been other exercises involving RAF Typhoons and other allies out of Crete very recently as well, in which the F-22s and other aircraft, including BACN, could very well be involved. The E-11A has the capability to bridge the gap between the F-22's data link and those of the other platforms, a function it has lacked until recently. The F-22 uses a unique data link known as Intra-Flight Data Link, IFDL, which uses only Raptors to send and receive with other Raptors, so they can only talk to each other. It says the IFDL uses low probability intercept direction architecture designed to be nearly undetectable by an enemy, which is pretty cool. It says, but this comes with downsides. The F-22 IFDL recently gained the ability to transmit on the much easier to detect omnidirectional link 16 data link waveform used by the majority of U.S. platforms, with operational testing finishing in late 2021 and the fleet being upgraded as of March 2022. So this is, it says, this is a quote, it's important to this. It says, we have fielded R1. We have completed our operational testing in the fall of 2021. Right now, we are at full steam ahead with R2 and about to begin testing R3 this summer. The first jets in operational squadrons have already started receiving the R1 upgrades. One of the major differences between jets are pre-racer and those that are now upgraded to R1 is in addition to the open system architecture and multifunctional information distribution system joint tactical radio system, aka MIDS Jitters, terminal that finally enables the Raptor to fully use the standard Link 16 data link protocol, including transmitting the Raptor's data link picture for its entire service life. The Raptor has, with a few exceptions, only been able to share the precious data it collects with other F-22s. So now a whole other kind of bag is opened up. Now they can communicate, they can do missions and send it back to others. So something, they could be using this for a major operation. They could be using it for all sorts of different things. We're going to follow it and, of course, update you on that. Let's see. Let's go over to the chat real quick. Thank you so much. By the way, Taylor, I appreciate that. Finally able to catch a Marfoogle live being deployed. Ooh, okay, this is a longer one. Let me see what this says. Let's see here. Somebody who is actively deployed, I see, right? Let's go back to that. Taylor, finally able to catch a Marfoogle live. Being deployed makes it hard to catch you. Taylor, thank you, and thank you for your service. I appreciate you. And all of the other military that are watching the show, either at home or at base, thank you guys. And thank you for the ones that share us with other military members as well. We appreciate you guys. And also remember, if you are a retired vet, make sure to go over to carsforheroes.org, sign up, try to get yourself some transportation if you need it. Anna Treos, everyone stay frosty, at least put together a survival backpack. Just remember, they might wipe out internet. Suggestion, get a satellite phone. Anna Treos, again, I believe those are pretty expensive. I don't have one, but that would be super cool. Let's see here. BT777 says Brandon was already hit in the head with a hammer. And then Ian DeBow, just sharing love to the entire Fugel family. Ian DeBow, thank you so much. Blue Boy 1968 Chappie. If anyone watched the revamped series of Battlestar Galactica, it warned at the end of the series the dangers of AI technologies. Cylons come to mind. Blue Boy, I didn't see the revamped version, but I did see the original. Missy Ledger, again, thank you. Cap for Life, thank you. And everybody else that just popped in. Remember, you can call in at 224-400-MARF. Tonight is a call-in. If you have information that you are able to share and that won't get you in trouble about what is happening right now, please give us a call. Make sure to think of us first. If you have video, marfugelnews.com/playmyvideo. It looks like we have a lot of great people in the chat. One Sun Observer, Slim Shady 76, Jen Boyles, Fuzz Miser, CJ Blaze, one of our great mods. We have Penny Salmons, Bones, our other great mod. I believe Survival Game should be here. Mir504, nice to see you, says Celtic Warrior. That is weird. I didn't see what Celtic Warrior says, but now I'm curious. I bought a package of ham, says Willie Wayne. Curb Creeper, Yummy Bear Gummy. What is going on? He says, yo, sup, folks. Yukon Cornelius, we've got Heavy Ordnance, Soylent, and Ort, G. Bacon, Bob White. Can't wait to see my big brother, Yahusha. I think that, I don't know if that's Yeshua or Yahusha. Let's hear Chewy Weather, Survival Games, says I'm always here. That's awesome. Miss Jamie, LW, Timothy McKee, and Craig Alicious. Thank you, guys. And the Rumble Within, Great Lakes Reliance. Speaking of which, thank you for everybody that is viewing over on Rumble. I hope you found us. If you were looking for us over there, it's a lot more findable now, since especially we have a channel. We had some things. We had a user thing over there for 2 years, but we didn't have an actual channel. It's a little bit confusing over there, but now we've got it down. And then U.S. military now doing on-site weapons inspections in Ukraine. That's right. And if you haven't heard of this, I don't know why, because we have U.S. military members physically inside the country. You guys should know what this means. And if this is public information, which I don't know why it's not on every single front headline, even if there was one soldier, let alone multiple there, that is a big thing. Because if some sort of strike happens or if some sort of accident happens, this is how you get pulled immediately into a world conflict. If you look at every previous world conflict, it can involve even a few guys, And if something happens, if they strike this area, or if there's an accidental, a drone that hits there and somebody perishes, this is how we get into World 3. It says that a small number, and again, this is right after this whole kind of blackout of ADSB, all of a sudden we have U.S. military forces inside UKR have recently begun doing on-site inspections to ensure UKR troops are properly accounting for the Western-provided weapons they receive. A senior U.S. defense official told Pentagon reporters Monday. It says the official who spoke on the condition of anonymity provided a military update, but would not say where the inspections are taking place or how close to the battlefronts the U.S. troops are getting. It says the official said U.S. personnel can't do inspections close to the front lines, but they said that they are going to where security conditions allow. Now, do you believe that? Again, even if they are not where, security conditions, what does that mean? Are they 100 miles away from the stuff? Either way, they're in range of pretty much all of their missiles, right? So if a missile hits this, and I would say that they're probably where the weapons are, and if they're inspecting weapons, then those weapons are probably, at least somebody knows where they are. Vlad probably has satellite images of where all of these things are. These aren't like, they're not going there to inspect a M16 or something. They're going there to inspect these artillery cannons, these huge things that are probably either stationary or movable, but then end up placing down. So this is pretty crazy. Dex, I was going to have you pop in, and I know that you have, I know that you've been getting just off the ring calls right now, but I don't think people realize how big this is, the fact that there are U.S. troops in there, and just in the first place. Even a couple is bad, but we don't know how many. And this is all after some of this weird stuff going down where all of a sudden every single military ADSB may have gone down. It's like, what the heck just happened here?
Well, and we just reported, we reported about the 101st going over, or part of it, the Screaming Eagles, I believe. And we had others that told us privately, or intel that had told us that they were actually going to UKR. And we were like, no, they're probably just going to the border. And of course, the news report was they were going to the border. And we said, hey, when they cross the border, when someone crosses the border, it's going to be a big deal. Well, that's happened. I mean, they're there. Right now, someone could get, hurt. They could get, severely, or in the worst case scenario, taken out. And we would have a U.S. soldier casualty. And that would change the game significantly. I also would say that, in my opinion, that what we've seen in the past is usually when this type of, if it's not a straight on, invasion like we did in ME, where we just went right into a country, when we've done other things, we typically go in slowly. Like, we'll send in some people to do some inspections. We'll, maybe send some people in to do some quote unquote training. And then before you know it, we've got, troops and everybody else. And it just goes from step 1 to step 100 overnight, and things escalate quickly. So we got to pay attention to this. This is a big deal. Again, like you said, I don't know why this hasn't been just like the headline news everywhere, that our troops are literally on the ground, so to speak, in UKR right now. So
people don't want us saying that we called this, or that I've seen comments where people are like, oh, nothing you've ever said comes true anymore. First of all, because, by the way, our track record is pretty good. We're not trying to give ourselves a pat on the back, but we have good information, and we need to let new viewers know that we are really serious about trying to not only try to predict the best with our ability that we can of what is going to happen, but also look at the patterns that are going on and use your information. It's not us. It's us, and then of course the Foogle fam and all of the great people here. We have a ton of military. Again, this is a huge thing. Again, we said. Specifically watch the radars, and now everyone is talking about how the radars just went kaploots or something, that they went on the blink. We said that, of course, that they were, we even said from the information that we got from you guys that they were told that they were going into UKR. So that woman's statement that we told you a week and a half ago, or person's statement, that person's statement is now ringing true. Absolutely true. So they are in UKR right now at the same time period that we told you they were going to. And of course, when we tell you this stuff, we make sure to try to verify it to the best of our ability. We said it could be the game of telephone where they said, oh, well, because after we told you that, then they ended up in Poland and the 101st deployed. That was after this person sent that information. And then that person, we let you know, hey, just so you know, this person actually said that they were going into UKR, not to the border. And now it is confirmed. They are inside the country. Somebody else said, somebody commented that, they've been in there for a while. Probably. They've probably been there for years. There's probably been U.S. troops. But for them to have, to officially come out and said that the U.S. troops are on the ground in UKR and they're inspecting the weapon systems, which are probably targets, that's a big deal. And that is how we get involved in a WW3. Even if Vlad doesn't do it, say if something miraculously happens or an accident happens and it looks like somebody does it, that is bad. And it depends on your view. Some people right now are gung-ho and saying that the U.S. is trying to get this started, right? If so, what could happen? Fantastic Freddy style, right? If your view is that Vlad's the evil guy, he could try to do that on purpose. If your view is that they are trying to start a WW3. This is big. And of course, it's not all over the headlines. Everybody's still talking about the possible person coming over to this person's house and asking where what's-her-face is and probably hitting their minibar or something. I don't know. This is big. And every part of this, before CV, we showed you the patterns. We said, why are they doing all these drills? Why are they doing exercises with masks on? Why are they acting like there's a demic coming? Why are they doing graphs of how a future demic will affect all of us? Why are they doing exercises with how they would control the internet and information and all of this? You can go back through even our thumbnails and see we called that was happening. We showed you the W and the H and the O, the graphs saying how what didn't happen yet was going to affect the world economy. We showed you those graphs, and they're making all of these things. And when it does come true, everybody goes, "Oh, you're just trying to pat yourself on the back." If we can call these things beforehand, that's a great thing. And again, instead of people being thankful, they're not. They're the opposite. They say it's fear mongering and all of this stuff. We are already in WW3. I didn't want to say it for a long time, but I mean, it's really hard to deny that this is, and especially when you look at World War II and look at the history of it and how, people are the same. It's just different technology. It's like it's a different era, but it's the same things being done. History is repeating itself over and over and over again. And this is going down in the history books. Right now, something big is going on. And most people are not going to believe you on that because they're hearing that everything is business as usual. And then UKR grapples with power outages as winter approaches. It says the decorative candles Yugoslavia Mid bought more than a year ago were never meant to be lit, but the dried wax has now clings to them, attests to how they've been used almost nightly, a consequence of power cuts across UKR. Seated at the dinner table with his wife in a village on the outskirts of the capital, Kiev, the two can't count the number of times they've eaten in the dark since Vlad's attacks triggered the blackouts beginning in early October. Moscow has openly declared its intention to target the country's energy infrastructure and drive the nation into the cold. Again, it is a super freezing winter already started. When you're relying on electricity, the worst thing is that you can't plan. Psychologically, it is very uncomfortable, said Vedmid, a 44-year-old business owner in Bilohorka. It says the cuts are getting longer, nearly 12 hours of outages a day. These are cuts, so they just have to go without power whenever they say. So far, Vlad has destroyed about 40% of UKR's energy infrastructure, affecting 16 regions, according to the UKR government. Remember when in the beginning they were like, well, why aren't they hitting the power? If this is really a conflict, why aren't they hitting the power? Now we are seeing, it seems like the real conflict is starting. They are hitting, now they say almost half of their power infrastructure is destroyed. That is what you see in a conflict, where they go after the power factories or the power plants and everything else, and now all of a sudden you have people living in the cold. So it seems like this is the start of the real stuff. They brought in the 300,000 troops, the conscripts. They're starting some stuff off. This is no longer whatever they called it, a special military operation. It says in Kiev, some 80% of consumers in the city of 3 million were left without water because of damage to a power facility Monday. By Tuesday, water was fully restored as well as some power. You have region governor Oleksiy Kaluba said that 20,000 apartments in the region remained without power. The unpredictable rolling blackouts are increasing as the government scrambles to stabilize the energy grid and repair the system ahead of winter, which my prediction is that something else is going to get hit, and probably pretty soon, and that's going to be kind of pointless. But we'll see. What do you guys think? Colt Fathwell. If your son, you said son is field artillery, he works with the 82nd and they just rotated out of Poland. He does know a couple things about this. You are the ones who are being lied to. I'd love for him to call in. 2244, dang it. 2244-00 Marv. If he would have an opinion on this, please let me know. As much as I like third-party information as far as hearsay, I'd love to talk to him myself. Tony David, Slim Shady 76, what's going on? Jamie Garcia, Tesla Super Genius, Energy Laser Weapons, DJ Trump. Let's see here, 2018 put up above America Enlightened. Let's see here. Yeah, if you have information, please let us know. Oh Lord, says Colt, want to enlighten us. Blob Jones, CR user, the rest of me is Aboriginal and Portuguese, so presume I am Hispanic. We are a melting pot here in the USA. Yes, we are. Let's see here. Haglian dialectic. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I guess my question is and we don't have to be rude. What's the real story? We're always open-minded. I would love to be corrected. Russia has the intel the UK conducted the Nord Asian. Yes, I know. Well, yeah, again, there's all sorts of stuff that's flying around. Why can't we be friends? World News Report today. Again, we have, just to let you know, we have 425 callers right now. So there's no system of like who gets in first. Just want to let you know that. We had a problem with that last week where some gentleman went into chat and said, hey, you guys aren't answering my call. We had, I think, over 800 calls that show. It's first come, first served basis. I will say this. This is a really helpful tip. If you want to get into 2244-00 Marf, when I first do the intro, right after we bring in Dex, and Dex physically talks and says, hey, how are you fam doing, or whatever, what do you say, Dex, what's your line? Howdy, Foogle fam, or whatever. After he says that, he goes right to the phone on the call-in shows. And that's when we open up the phone lines, and once we get our callers lined up, then there's basically no look. And you can still call because sometimes callers drop out. Let's see here. Sweet Attorney, JG. Let's see here. Dr. Sean Barry, One Sun Observer. JG, I would, but again, that would be basically putting somebody else out of rotation. So I can't name how many shows people say, we have super important information, need to get in right now. And then they actually call in with like a link to a YouTube channel. So again, and then we end up, we don't take first or priority for anybody that's in chat, or if they say, if you want to get on, well, one, to that person I said last week, I said, well, then tell the information to everybody. If it is prudent, don't get mad at us because you can't get in. Please share the information with as many as possible right now, and then we can get you in on the next show, or we can fit you into a non-call-in show and just have you come on. That's a good way to do it too. Let's see here. Blob Jones, Melissa Steinberg. Well, yeah, that is a lot of calls. You have to think we have 3 different platforms. Right now on YouTube alone, we have 4,300. We have over 4,000 people watching, and that's just who's live. And then, of course, we have DLive, and then, of course, we have Rumble now. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. Second, U.S. ballistic missile submarine makes unusual appearance in just 2 weeks. We talked about that before. Very crazy stuff. We're going to get to the caller first. Looks like we have. Let's see here. Up next, we have James, aka World's New News Report. We got him in. So while you get James on the phone, I'll just pop in. And again, if you guys have not already, make sure if you are trying to look for a solution to protecting yourself against either an EMP or a CME, I'd highly recommend getting into looking at an EMP shield. This is a device that can ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your device. It can actually protect you against all three phases, E1, E2, and E3, and it can protect you against solar events. A Carrington level event happens, again, that can actually protect you against that. It's 100% American made, it's a veteran-owned business, and they make one for your car, which is the most popular version, for your trucks. They, of course, make them for your house, your generators. In fact, they make a custom EMP shield for the Flex 1500. So if you already got that Flex 1500 and want to protect it, you can actually get a custom device made just for it. But they make all sorts of different devices. This is the same company that's worked with agencies like DHS, DOD, and now on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. So pretty much in some way or form, all of the United States, at least the military and the government who are protecting themselves, they are in some way or form using EMP shields. So make sure to go check it out yourself. You can get consumer protection, which is how they started. In fact, when they got all sorts of government contracts, we didn't know if they were even going to continue selling it to regular people. But they have, and it is a great resource to do. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. It's $50 off with that link, and you are helping our channel at the same time. All right, let's go over to James, a.k.a. World News Report.
Hey, Mr. Marfoogle, Adam, I just really wanted to call you and thank you because, I started on YouTube a couple of years back, and you really helped me, and in my opinion, were a great role model for bringing the truth to everyone.
Well, thank you,
So I
James.
just really want to reach out and tell you that, man. It almost brings me to tears because I, believe it or not, you asked me politely to borrow something from my channel, and I was some kind of new, retired oil and gas guy, and I wanted to make a great channel, and I said, no, you can't do it, and you said fine, and then I, over the years, realized how great you were as a person, as a channel, and just in general, okay? So I really had to make this call and thank you. And I'm so glad I was able to get through. You actually helped me, get some subscribers. And more than that, after I realized who you were, I felt so terrible about being such a, young, unknowing YouTube person. And you were so kind on everything that we did. I just want to say thank you.
Well, no problem, James. Thanks for saying that, man. It's it's been getting rare. I mean, obviously, the bigger that your channel gets, the more, I guess, that people just kind of, in this niche especially, the bigger you get, the people think that, I guess people want you to be a small YouTuber, and if you're big, then it's like the training of this brainwashing of class division goes in, where they're like, oh, well, if they're bigger, then they're bad. I don't understand that, and I don't get why people automatically just make judgments. I don't know why people just make up stuff about people they don't like. I don't get any of that. Right. But I do appreciate you, and I remember your channel. This is really cool.
On the channel, you can always use all of my stuff, and I've got some great stuff with space wheels that are attacking the sun, all kinds of stuff. You have right now on the air my permission to use any of my stuff with no strike. Period. Thank you.
Well, okay, so while we have you on here, what do you think about what has been going on as far as, do you think that we're close to a war, or what do you think?
I am afraid, and I've never been afraid in my 50-plus years of life. So my 74-year-old father is afraid as well. So kind of brings you down to thinking, hey, this is a special situation, a special time, a dangerous time. I hate that we're sending all these weapons out, okay, without, I mean, they couldn't put an Apple tag on them. Come on, man. You know, it scares me. I'm very scared.
And I see.
I believe that if. Go ahead.
Well, I saw that 5 hours ago you reported that the Pentagon confirmed U.S. boots on the ground. Isn't that? I mean, that's just nuts. So.
No, it's 100% real. I always source all my stuff because I want to not be a reporter or a propagandist. I want to be a journalist. So I source everything. And, you know, if they tell you there's a little, you can bet there's more than that. And more than that, when I got some leaks out of the Ukraine that are on YouTube, all the voices on the command centers or in the command centers, there's no accent. They're just pure U.S. Language, like me and you speak, right?
Well, it's
so in my opinion,
it's getting crazy.
Go ahead,
by the way, I agree with you on that. In fact, where I first heard of the ADSB was from Canadian Prepper, and Canadian Prepper heard it from somebody else. The one gripe that I have, and I like Canadian Prepper, is that he never puts links to anything. But he never puts links to anything. So I had to spend hours trying to figure out where this stuff came from. Found it in the middle of a 4-hour stream.
Do you know him? I do. He's kind of a meano compared to me and you. We'll just put it like that.
Well, I like his
in
stuff.
My opinion.
I think that he has a good approach to how, you know, people are going to call us fearmongers. People are going to call us they're going to say that we have the end of the world is nigh, but it's being realistic. Look at what has happened. We were called fearmongers when we said that there was going to be a major demic, and that happened. And we were ready. A lot of people thanked us. Afterwards, they said that we were totally stocked when everything, went off the shelves. They had stuff. We had so many thank you letters from people that said, it was great because we spent every week getting a little bit of extra stuff. And then when there was nothing on the shelves, people had stuff. So it does help. And even if it was an earthquake, and we've gotten messages from people that went through the California smaller earthquake, and they said that, the local stores, when they basically sold out immediately. The people that were in Florida and other places where the local stores ran out of water and everything else, and people said thank you because we had extra stuff and we didn't need to rely on that. There's big disasters, and then there's little ones.
I was going to Loyola when one of the big storms hit. We were stuck at the college, stuck in town, New Orleans. You can only order food from these restaurants because their meats were unfreezing for one day, and anyone with cash was golden. I ate like 10 hot dogs on the corner. But after that, guys, for 3 or 4 days, it got super duper tough, where you didn't want to go outside. They were actually confiscating, I think, individual landowners' weapons at the time. So it got crazy.
Well, James, it's so nice to talk to you again. Thank you so much for calling in. Again, can I keep your info and talk? I'd love to connect with you and do some collaborations.
Hey, that would be awesome, man. Everyone, I want to again thank Marfoogle. I call him Adam, for everything he's done for this channel. And y'all give him a subscribe. Y'all give him a thumbs up for me. Okay? Period. God bless.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate you, James. And you have a wonderful night, okay?
Okay. Thanks, sir.
I should have asked him. I think he changed his channel name at least once. But I feel like I remember the the profile picture too. I know that I want to say we helped you when you were much smaller. I'm very happy to see when people just keep going at it, and you know, some people think that it's just immediately going to, after we do a love mob or something, people think that it's just going to happen. That because they got 1,000 subscribers, that it's just going to work. And I think a lot of people think what we do is easy, and they think, oh, I can do that. I can talk. I can put a camera in front of me. But there's very few that actually realize how much work it is. So it is appreciated when somebody sees it, and from the creator point of view. I think once people get into creating, like Survival Living said the same thing. Like when he was a viewer compared to now he's a YouTuber and he's at 50,000 subscribers, he realizes how much work. Trinity does more editing than I do. I don't do that kind of editing. But when I watch her video, I see how much editing, every transition, every little thing that she does, that takes time to transition and to do the timing on. And and she, like she said the other night, some people said she does too much editing, but I see it and it keeps your attention. And, you know, as far as transitioning from stuff, people don't realize how much time goes into that stuff. And they think, oh, it's a 5-minute video, so it should take 5 minutes. It doesn't. So thank you, and much appreciated. And thank you for the people that have been loyal and with me since I was doing videos out of my car. And I can't say thank you enough. As far as the second sub, we talked about the first one popping up. And this is, you know, when they pop up like this, it's on purpose because they don't let you know where they are. They're mostly underwater. And if they do pop up, it's popping up in secrecy. They don't make it a public big thing when they pop up, unless they're popping up at like a port for a museum tour or something. They don't let you know where they are, and that's on purpose because these things are one of our triad of dangerous weapons. This is where we still have a huge advantage. Our subs are, as of now, I believe, still the best in the world. It says the U.S. Navy's Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines, the USS Rhode Island, has made a very uncommon public port visit to the British overseas territory of Gibraltar. The public announcement was about this stopover is also unusual, and even more so coming nearly 2 weeks after the U.S. Central Command made the extremely curious decision to disclose that another one of its submarines, the USS West Virginia, was operating in the Arabian Sea. As in that case, it's difficult to not view Rhode Island's ostensibly scheduled stop in Gibraltar as messaging aimed at potential adversaries, such as Vlad, and as well as allies and partners. Ship spotters were quick to identify Rhode Island's arrival at the UK Navy base in Gibraltar, formerly known as Her Majesty's Naval Base, Gibraltar. I'm sorry, I just kind of thought about it. I did they change the name the second she passed? Like, too soon? UK Royal Navy Base in Gibraltar, formerly known as Her Majesty's Navy Base, Gibraltar. Earlier today, which the U.S. Navy subsequently confirmed, the service also noted that this is the first time an Ohio ballistic missile submarine, or SSBN, has visited Gibraltar since the USS Alaska stopped there in June 2021. Alaska's stopover was the first time in 2 decades one of these boats had visited the British territory. Rhode Island also made a public visit to Her Majesty's Naval Base Clyde in Scotland in July. And that was something we talked about. Anytime they make a public appearance like this, it's usually during high tensions, and they're like, hey, don't forget about us. At least that's how people take it. Dex, as far as this submarine popping up, because it wasn't the last time we talked about this happening, wasn't that the Her Majesty's Naval Base Clyde in Scotland? Wasn't that the one we actually talked about and how unusual it was at that time too?
Well, no, there was one, don't forget, 2 weeks ago in the Persian area, and it was done potentially. They said it was for a high-ranking official to board, but then, that was the public notice, but they don't surface those just to let somebody on the tour. They surfaced it to let the world know where it was at the time. And they said that was both for Vlad and for the I country.
Well, that wasn't even the one I was talking about, and it's only happened a few times, and because of that, you kind of remember that it stuck out in your brain.
That's for sure, because it's not when they leave port, they stay underwater, and if they pop up to surface for something, it's rare. They don't want to. They don't ever want to be known or tracked.
So, Dex, while I still have you, the U.S. Treasury thwarted attack by a Russian hacker group last month. So, we've obviously talked about the possibilities of a huge cyber attack on this or that, and that's one of the biggest potentials because it doesn't immediately take any lives. It's something that would be done as kind of a first strike kind of thing because it can't be countered or it shouldn't be countered with something that takes millions of lives or something. It's not like a nuke. It's something where usually they would try to then respond in cyber or keep it along the same lines. What do you think about this? And doesn't this kind of go into what we were talking about even then about how there were all these threats on the Treasury and on all of these financial systems?
Well, this is definitely crossing one of those lines that we said. And I say we, I mean our president. The administration said, don't, if they do anything like this, if we have any cyber events, that those are considered, an engagement, especially at this time. So I find this kind of interesting that this is coming out now. And this, is coming out to us, to the public now, but it happened a month ago. So if they knew about it and they repelled that attack a month ago and they knew that it was coming from Vlad a month ago, what are they doing about it, especially with the rhetoric that they put out saying that they were going to stand firm against this and that any type of event like this against our, infrastructure or, the treasury of all places, that's a big deal, right? That we wouldn't stand for it, that we would, defend against it and we would, do something meaningful back. It doesn't seem like at this point, unless now they're going to use this public statement to then, as fuel for what they do next. This could be part of the laundry list that they're building to explain why we're going to do something next.
And Dex, you're our Apple specialist or you're an Apple fan. We finally have I have the article pulled up here about the Apple tech that walked 25 miles. Do you want to go over that real quick?
Well, we've talked quite a bit about these rather large lockdowns that have happened over there. And in this particular one at the factory, they had literally shut people down in there and they weren't allowed. So people were actually sneaking out. In this one instance, many of them were just walking down the highway like 25 miles to get home. Because everything is shut down there. They couldn't get anywhere. And they were sort of told to hang, stay in the building. And that, it's not an Apple story. It's more of a Vlad story and going back to his zero policy. These are some of the extremes that are happening.
G policy, not Vlad. You said
yeah, sorry.
Vlad.
Yeah, G. Yeah. Not Vlad. Vlad doesn't have a zero policy. He's got a different zero policy.
But do you see this? They have the guys in the white suits on the freeway. So even if somebody was walking, they might chance run into one of these guys. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing it now? Obviously, the rest of the world has kind of gone back to as normal as possible, right? And they say that's because everybody's gotten, in the, they say that so many people have that we've resumed this or that. But yet no one has done the same that we did over there. Nobody has even done the type of that we did here. And of course, they are still locking down things. Many people say, oh, well, this is because this is an easy way to control people. The people there are already controlled. I mean, they already have this huge system set up that's way crazier than any other country. As far as their surveillance, it's one of the most surveilled populations in the world. It's one of the most tracked and traced populations. With WeChat, every single phone is connected to the person's basic, the equivalent of their Social Security. Anything and everything you do goes through these systems. Like, the reason Elon looks up to WeChat is because WeChat is an everything app. He says, oh, yeah, it's great. You can buy things. You can get directions. You can do this. You can make transactions. You can do all sorts of things. You can use it to enter buildings. You can use it, all this. It's an episode of Black Mirror, what it is. And now they're even furthering that. They're putting health bans on bus drivers. We covered that. These health bans can even tell you if this bus driver is in a good or bad mood. But these health bans that are really, basically tracking them, it's straight out of Dragon Day. And now they're doing this, and people are wondering if they're turning all of these tech factories, if they're hoarding their resources, if they're just freezing everything and trying to keep everything on lockdown, so they can, they're preparing for something. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your opinion on this. If you have inside information, send it to adam@marfooglenews.com or dex@marfooglenews.com, or hit me up on Twitter. Tag me @Marfoogle. If you guys are not followed over on Twitter, make sure to go do so. So pretty crazy. As far as they say they thwarted a big attack. So what does that say? What if they didn't thwart it? What would have happened? And then food prices soar, and so do companies' profits. It says a year ago, a bag of potato chips at the grocery store cost an average of $5.05. These days, that bag costs $6. A dozen eggs that could have been picked up for $1.83 now average $2.90. That's basically twice as much, by the way. A 2-liter bottle of soda that cost $1.78 is now set you back $2.17, which, by the way, here it's like $4 or $5. I don't know where they're getting, what state they're getting. I guess that's the average, right? Here, if you get a 1-liter bottle of soda, that's a 2-liter. Okay. 2 liters have always been cheaper. I never got that. It's like a bulk purchase, I guess, right? But I remember when they were $1 or less, or you could get like 4 for $5. But now they're like $3 or $3.50 in some cases. Something else is much higher: corporate profits. So even though they're saying it's this inflation thing and this and that, why are the companies making so much more money then? It's like they're using this as an excuse. It says in mid-October, PepsiCo, whose prices for its drinks and chips were up 17% in the latest quarter from year-earlier levels, reported that its third quarter profit grew more than 20%. Likewise, Coca-Cola reported a profit up 14% from a year earlier, in large part to these price increases, which is AKA inflation. Well, they're making more money, so that means they could make the same amount of money they did last year, and we wouldn't be paying so damn much. So it's like they're using this conflict, in my opinion, as a way to raise all of the different prices that aren't getting affected. And if you think about it, soda's the worst. It's the packaging that costs money. But other than that, I mean, it's like syrup that can be watered down. Once they have the formula, they can make millions of cans of soda, out of one batch of stuff. So it's insane how much money these companies are now raising their prices. We are getting shrinkflation and, of course, shrinking their products. It's gone viral all over TikTok and all of the social media platforms. The companies, they'll shrink their bottles and their boxes and things, but they'll keep the same size box. So cereals will have a giant box, but the bag inside will be tiny. Or Febreze, the video of the Febreze canister that is a cylinder bottle. At the bottom, if you cut the bottom off, it's circled off. Now, it doesn't seem that big of a deal. They put a plastic cap on it to make you look like you have this much more, but that circle cuts out the volume of it. The actual size of the can did not change, but the size of the contents did. And this is the tricky thing that they've been doing, all while raising their prices. And they're saying it's because of inflation and this and that. Well, how are their profits going up if it's just because they have to raise their prices because, they can't suffer, right? For years, food companies and restaurants generally raise prices in small incremental steps, worried that big increases would frighten consumers and send them looking for cheaper options. But over the last year, as wages increased and the cost of raw ingredients used to make treats like cookies, chips, sodas, and materials and package them soared, food companies and restaurants started passing along those expenses to customers. But amid growing concerns that the economy could be headed for a recession, some food companies, restaurants are continuing to raise prices even if their own inflation-driven costs have been covered. Critics say that the moves are all about increasing profits, not covering expenses. Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and Chipotle did not respond to requests to comment. Well, of course they did. Says the recent earnings calls have only reinforced the familiar and unwelcome theme that corporations did not need to raise their prices so high on struggling families. Well, personally, struggling families shouldn't be drinking soda pop in the first place, but we all do. I drink Diet Coke, and again, it's very expensive. And I know everybody's like, oh, diet aspartame, aspartame. I get it. But we all have our vices. What's funny is I think I literally had a person who was like drunk as a skunk tell me I shouldn't drink Diet Coke. And I was like, okay, I don't drink, smoke, or do anything else. So again, it's kind of like we all have our vices and we all have our addictions. Mine is diet soda, and it is horrible, and I'm probably going to die from it. I get it. But nobody is perfect. And meanwhile, they're going to make that Diet Coke smaller and more expensive, all while making a profit doing it. Dex, can you get our next caller? It looks like we have Elisa or Elisa. Is that Elisa? First time caller, and going to talk about she found some meat that is magnetic in her store. This is going to be an odd one. And then while you're getting Eliza on, I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. If you want a resource for getting MREs and prepackaged survival food, long-term survival food that will last 25 years, this is a really great one because this is very affordable. Again, this is a great resource for getting, say, in bulk. The 3-month supply is now $250 off. It's the biggest discount they've done since 2019. And again, it is a huge discount at that. At $250 off, you have to think this is 90 days of food for one person. So all 3 meals of the day for 90 days. It's a huge amount of survival food that's all going to last. And with inflation and everything that's going up, as many people have said, they actually keep this food. And if inflation gets too bad, if it goes into hyperinflation, this is actually another reason you could use this. If a loaf of bread or something is $25, which hopefully it never gets to that crazy point, you could end up going into your food stash and eating that instead. It doesn't have to be an end-of-the-world disaster. It could be for an earthquake. It could be for, a tsunami. It could be for a hurricane. Or it could just be for trying to save a couple bucks. You can end up using this later. The prices on freeze-dried foods has gone up so much in the last 3 years that this is actually, if somebody has bought this 3 years ago, it is now worth 3 times as much. Now, if you think about this, if it does that again in the next 3 years, you will have 3 months of food that if you were to get that in 3 years from now could be 3 times as much. And you would still have 22 years left on it, and you can just keep holding it. Again, marfooglenews.com/prep. Make sure to go over and get that discount with that link. That link will automatically give you that discount, so make sure to go check it out. They also have kits like 72-hour kits. The 3-day kit you can just put in a bag. They have a week kits. They have 2-week kits. They have all sorts of different packages, so make sure to go check them out. All right, and that helps reinforce our growth. It helps us. You get a discount, and it's something that you can keep and may even save your life. Let's see here. Eliza or Elisa? Am I saying it right? Is it Eliza?
Elisa.
Elisa. Thank you so much. I'm glad I clarified. Elisa, what is going on, and how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. So what's happening?
Calling to let you know about the magnetic meat. Whenever you go buy meat, you need to carry a magnet with you because it's magnetic, like a lot. And I don't know what it does to your body, but I was just letting you know.
So, I guess what store what was this, at a big box store or Safeway or a grocery store or what?
No, it's at all the stores, a lot of stores, all of them.
Now, what, I guess I'm just curious, what ended up, how did you end up in a grocery store with a magnet? Or did you hear about this from something and then tried it yourself, or?
I heard about it and I tried it at home and then I tried it at the grocery stores. and I tried all the different ones around town, and it clinked to them, and I just wanted to know what was going on.
Well, so there's blood, I guess, that would have iron. Dex, do you have a theory of why meat would be magnetic? Would that be iron in the blood or something? Or so what is the magnet doing? Picking up the meat? Like, can you pick up the meat, or it just sticks?
I have no idea.
Huh.
It just clings to it. It just goes to it. Not all meat. Only certain part of it.
Somebody said that cling wrap, that it could do that. Somebody said magnetofection. Has anybody else had this happen to them? Abe Froman, has this happened to you? Have you gone to the store with a magnet? No, my organic meat is not magnetic, somebody says. Well, I guess that would be a reason.
No, organic meat's not. No.
James Wright says nanobots ? By the way, I wouldn't be surprised by anything at this point, especially with knowing how they've edited and altered food at this point. Possibly something from the packaging department. Oh, wait a second. So I do know. Okay, and I don't know if this was the case with yours, but I do know they have started adding security devices to meat, and that's because the theft has gotten so bad in some states. What state are you in? Are you in one of the big? I guess.
I'm in Texas.
Oh, no. In like California, Oregon, and Washington, some places are actually putting these security devices in the meat because so many people are stealing meat. I mean, when you get a steak that's $35, $40, I mean, that's insanity. We talked about it was crazy to have a $20 steak. Now there's $40 steaks, and they're nothing special. They're not huge either. They're T-bone or whatever the top sirloin or whatever for $40. Like, that's insanity. Well, I will have to try it, and I guess you gave us some homework to do, and we'll have to go out and bring our magnets. Just make sure to do it. Just don't mess anything up.
Yeah, take your magnet with you. Take your magnet. And it's a lot in hot dogs and chicken.
Okay, well, hot dogs I could see. You never know what's in those. Well, but Alisa,
right.
Well, thank you so much for calling, and great tip. I will try it out myself.
All right, Marv. And I've been watching you for like 5 years, for a long time, but I don't ever call in or do text message or nothing on there.
Well, thank you for sticking around us, and thank you again for being a long-time watcher. I appreciate you, and God bless you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So if somebody laughs, just wait, watch you go, and you do it yourself, and you're like, oh, man, she was right. Just if you do end up doing something that's at your own risk. Don't want to start some sort of TikTok, what do you call it? TikTok challenge trend or something. Speaking of TikTok, really, really insane stuff has been going on. Commissioner, Dex, do we have that in the web only tonight? The TikTok commissioner, or no, I'm sorry, not TikTok commissioner. The FCC commissioner, one of four, actually just said that TikTok should be banned from the U.S. Dex, that is in our web only, correct?
I'm checking, but if it's not, it will be. So
okay.
Consider it there.
Sorry about that. I can't remember if I did send it to you, right? Either way.
You did, but I'm double checking. So if it's not there, it will be there.
Okay. So first of all, we've talked about how TikTok, and obviously, during the last presidency, the president said, hey, this is something up. Because it was him, everyone on one side said if he says something, then it has to be the opposite. What's funny is a lot of the stuff like Space Force, everybody laughed at Space Force, but nobody's trying to get it taken down now that President B is in charge. But people laughed at it. They even they go so far. It's like they just want to push people's buttons so far. They even made the Steve Carell show Space Force, and they just made it into a big joke. When if the information that's coming out is they've weaponized space, it's not that funny. You know what I mean? Obviously, if you may like the show or whatever, but they did that whole show as like a joke, like a tongue-in-cheek joke about T-Man. But with that being said, they have said that TikTok is possibly dangerous. We've looked at the TOS, and even Joe Rogan, with 100 million viewers, read the TOS out loud. They're keeping track of keystroke combinations. So if you're doing a password 10 times a day, TikTok knows that. They're using your camera, your audio, everything else that we know that all of these other apps are using too, but they're using it for the CCP, or possibly, right? They're owned by ByteDance, and ByteDance is directly connected with the government. And pretty much people can assume that because all of the big companies in that country have to do a certain amount of collaboration with the government. They're basically under their rule. In fact, at any time, they can grab their information from any company that's big in Xi's country, and they can grab the information from it. They have said that they've separated in some ways, putting Americans in charge of the American kind of side of it. But now we have shown you that there was verified proof that people from and engineers from Xi's country were accessing this stuff. So accessing profiles, accessing all sorts of stuff. So that will be in the overflow tonight. Again, thank you, Bones and Tubbs Show, for your support over on the Super Thanks. Thank you on D-Live to the many great people. Vicky K, every night, thank you so much for being there. Much love to all in the Fugel fam. Michelle K, Toadman69, Big Fish, Michelle K, again, thank you. Terry Chard, 223, Renegade PD, The End is Near, Rothel, Nuclear War, and, of course, Chance Paladin and Jammer. Thank you guys for holding it down there. And thank you, everybody over on YouTube that stopped by tonight. Thank you for everybody that supported Mama of Six. Thank you. Zamarf and Zadex. Please check out NKSK right now. It's getting serious. Dex, can we see if we can see what's going on with North NK and SK? And then Linda C., thank you for your support. Thank you for the massive super chat. Thank you for $20 super chat. That's very generous. Thank you. Jaws Wolf, thank you so much. Stephen McMahon says, didn't we all know it? Maybe it won't be a Fantastic Freddy. Maybe they'll drag us into conflict. Then, no drop-in box. Oh, so we won't put anything in the box and pick people, right? And then Ernie Terrell, thank you. $50 super chat. And you didn't do a single message or a super sticker or anything. Ernie Terrell, again, if that was an accident, I hope you can click and try to resolve that. If it was on purpose, thank you. You didn't have to do that, and thank you for supporting Independent. Usually, if it is that, it's because people, the more you end up doing a super chat, the more you can type. So I hope that, if you did mean to do a message, that you'll get it out. Craig Alicious, you didn't watch the remake. Dude, it was amazing. Craig Alicious, I did not. Or if I did, I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure it's a few decades old, right? Even the remake. And then I already have an AST phone, a satellite phone. When I win the lottery, I'll buy one for everybody in the Fugel fam. Stephen McMahon, hey, I'll do the same if I win it. So tell us, Adam, what did you go as last night? Batman? How about you, Dex? I actually did not go as anything. I did not dress up. But my kids went as a kitty, an angel, and a shark. So that was pretty cute. I will most likely actually, I have my Instagram. I'm trying to get back up, but I might post pictures. I don't know. Can't really do anything like that now because there's just so many creepies. All right, and then Mama of Six, thank you. Again, I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody that supported. Dex, do you want to go over the web only? Lots of great stuff.
That article you were asking about NK, if you want to pull that up, it's in Screener. It's something that just happened maybe about 50 minutes ago while we're on the show.
Uh-oh. So we have breaking news, people. This is... Okay, hold on. Let's pop this open. That's not good. All right. So North Korea fires 10 missiles, South Korea says. And by the way, the kind of red lines that have been set lately have gone up. Says that they have fired at least 10 missiles of various types from its east and west coast on Wednesday, South Korea's Ministry of National Defense said. The South's Joint Chiefs of Staff, or JCS, said the launches marked the first time an Korean ballistic missile has fallen close to South Korea's territorial waters, south of the Northern Limit Line, or the NLL. It says a barrage of missile tests set off an air raid warning in South Korea's Uliungondo Island that sits 120 kilometers or 75 miles east of the Korean peninsula. JCS said that one short-range ballistic missile fell in the international waters about 100 miles northwest of the island. So it's still within. You can't. I don't think you wouldn't be able to even see it, but it was close. Considering the wide range of it, that is close. It says Wednesday launch of North Korea's 29th this year, according to CNN count. And it says comes after the United States and South Korea began previously scheduled military exercises called Vigilant Storm. It says the maneuvers involved 240 aircraft, thousands of service members from both countries, according to the U.S. Defense Department. So we have our people over there. We have tons and tons of Navy. We have all sorts of things going on over there. That is a hot point as well. That's a flashpoint for the U.S. as well. And it is a flashpoint for World War III. So we have been paying attention to it very closely. Great job. Who was that sent that in? Who was that said that again? That was, hold on, I have it. Mama of Six. Thank you so much for that information, and thank you. That's what's great about that is you guys can get us information and we can get it out live, and then it goes out through the replay almost instantaneously. Man Overboard Media. My father took me to see The Lion King in 1993. We saw Clear and Present Danger instead. We both vowed that then and there we'd lie to Mom when we got home and never waste another dollar on Disney movies. That's such a great and awesome comment. That's just awesome. Yoo-hoos only have 11 ounces. BT777 says, I know, that's insane. Man Overboard Media, thank you so much again. Man Overboard Media. Your acronym is MOM. That's awesome. Thank you, Mom. And thank you. Dex, web only. Lots of crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, the story continues. So go check it out. Marfooglenews.com. Open the description on YouTube or on the Humble and just click the show notes link. It'll take you right here. This is where you're going to get all the caller information you just heard. It's where you're going to get all the news we just covered. And then you're going to hit this yellow overflow section. This is the rest of the story. Hey, there's another shortage, one that we didn't get to tonight, but antibiotics, specifically amoxicillin, is now apparently running short. So you can find out about that. There's a whole lot of updates around the event that's going to happen in a few days here next week on Tuesday. So hopefully this will hurry up and get over with. Kind of getting tired of all the coverage of it, but that's there. If you're interested, you've got all of the different stories that are happening around the world and around the world, not just in the U.S. There's other elections happening too. So that stuff's there. Updates on like inflation in Venezuela is still going haywire. They went up 300%. If you didn't know that, you can find out more about that. And apparently Elon is going to continue to be in the news. He's got a couple of things happening. One about they're worried about how he's expanding his reach, and then another one about him being told that his workers have to work 84 hours or multiple 12 hours, 7 days a week. I'm just wondering what the truth is behind that one. I'm sure there's a lot of spin coming out of that company now with his takeover of Twitter. There was a bridge collapse, a very horrible video, but it also showed some people sort of joking around on the bridge when it happened. I don't know that they actually caused it, but it's one of those, suspension type bridges. And, some people get on there and they bounce around and think it's fun. Kind of a scary video when you think about it, if you don't like heights or you don't like that. And it's very horrible for the people that were involved in it. That and so much more updates on what was going on in the Twitter world, as well as other things going on with our income here to the U.S. citizens. So go check it out, marfooglenews.com. The rest of the story, it's all there. All the caller information is down below. The story that we talked about, Adam talked about earlier about Snap, and Meta going up in stock price is the story that he was talking about, specifically about the FCC commissioner making that statement. It was a market read story, but the underlying message there is that it was the FCC commissioner making that statement. So that's also on the page as well. So make sure you go check all of that out. If you're interested in finding out what's going on, it's all there. MarfoogleNews.com, on YouTube. Open the description, click on the show notes link. Same thing on the Umble.
And by the way, when the stuff with South Korea, when that horrible tragedy happened, it was like 150 plus people perished. I made a comment about it being like a Final Destination thing almost. It's like now the next day or 2 days later, you've got this suspension bridge falling, and if you look at the scene, it looks straight out of the Final Destination movie. It's horrible. What now? A full plane is going to crash into the ground or something? Hope not. But praying for the survivors and the family of all those people that were injured or hurt. If you look at the scene, it is insanity. But yeah, thank you, everybody. And to end on a lighter note, I hope that all of you have a blessed day. It is definitely, it is tumultuous times. So just be very grateful for every morning that you wake up alive. We all have issues and things that we're going through. And again, you never know what the next person, the battle that they're going through. So just be kind to people, be polite. And thank your mods. They've done a great job of keeping it peaceful. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button. If you find value in our show, or if you do, look at this and say, hey, they're putting in a lot of work, please hit that subscribe button, and also subscribe to our other channel, Marfoogle News. If you want to, make sure to go over to Marfoogle Jams. If you like the stupid shoutro I do, the chat and everybody pops over there after the show. That's, again, Marfoogle Jams is a third channel. And then make sure to subscribe to Dex J as well. All right, you guys have a great night. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And thank you, BTT7, Man Overboard Media, Mama of Six, Linda C., Jaws Wolf, Stephen McMahon, Ernie Terrell, Craig Alicious, Ian DeBow, Anna Trejos. Thank you so much, Taylor, Blue Boy 1968, Chappie, Cap for Life, and Missy Ledger and Luis Martinez. Thank you. Love you guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. What's down? Everyone's an expert now. Everybody wears the crown. Word up. What's down? Everyone's an expert now. Everybody wears the crown. Word up. What's down? Everyone's an expert now. Everybody wears the crown. I sit on my back, I am back around, and everybody now I say down, no buns and dogs show now. Whoa. I said I love you down, Andrea, so bind her down, Marcus Sparky and Mr. Bow. What is up and what is down? Stealth mode and Bob White now, Poker Logo and the Lifeboat. I got the Jackie on the flowers, Trinity, Red Pill, High Ho, Kermit the Frog here, Daniel on the Becker in the Cloud Walker 2021, Mirror 504, have some fun, Stephanie Manoz, Tylee Rosenbeck, everybody whoa, and they put you in the check. Hey, with the Seeking Through, Marvin Fun Time and Carmen Pacheca too. Word up, what's down? Everyone's an expert now. Everybody wears the crown. Missy on the ledger.
In the world getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully they're ready. Let's bring it on the back with my essay. Bring it on the high, testing. Hopefully they're ready. Let's bring it on the back with my essay. In the world getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully they're ready. Let's bring it on the back with my essay. In the world getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully they're ready. Let's bring it on the back with my essay. In the world getting real messy.
Thank you, Jennifer Gilbert. I appreciate you.
I got the vibe on the way. Bring it on the day with the tyrant and the weaker on the bike. With the high night, I all night, eyesight, all back down, then I lost my eyesight. A Bobby Brown and a Moody Bomb. I got the Sasha Me and the Mr. Tom. I got the wick around and back around the seek and true. This for the fucking lectures or two. I started watching you from a phoenix. Everybody gonna get a beanie. I said the Tom Cruise reading on the minds. I bring it all the back all the time. I said the don't step in the grease. And on Daniel Becker in the wee.